Easter Stories with Jolly. These lessons are for lower elementary, kindergarten through second grade. Today's lesson is called Peter Denies Jesus, and our verse is, Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crowed. John 18:27. Peter denies Jesus. Jesus came to earth to love people and to teach them about God's love. He performed miracles and did many wonderful things, and many people followed and believed he was the Son of God. Jesus never sinned. Everything he did was pleasing to God, yet some people hated him. The chief priest and the elders hated him so much they wanted Jesus to be killed. They did not believe he was the Son of God, and it made them very jealous that other people followed and worshipped him. With the help of Judas, one of Jesus' disciples, they came up with a plan and arrested Jesus while he was in the Garden of Gethsemane praying with the other disciples. The soldiers carried Jesus away, and the disciples scattered in fear. Jesus wasn't afraid. He knew this was part of God's plan. He knew bad things were about to happen. He had tried to warn the disciples about it many times, but they didn't understand what he was telling them. After Jesus was arrested, the soldiers and high priests led Jesus to the house of Annas. Annas was like a judge. He could give them permission to punish Jesus if he thought Jesus needed to be punished. Peter and John secretly followed them because they wanted to know what was going to happen to Jesus. When they came to the home of Annas, John entered the gate because he knew Annas. Peter waited just outside. When John realized Peter hadn't followed him in, he went back to the girl who was guarding the gate and spoke to her. Then he went to Peter and told him it was okay for him to enter. As Peter was going in, the girl at the door recognized him and asked him if he was one of the disciples. Peter was afraid, so he acted like he didn't know what she was talking about and just kept walking. Peter didn't go too far from the door. He stopped by the fire to warm himself and tried to blend in with the servants who were also standing there. John walked farther so he could see and hear what was happening to Jesus. Annas asked Jesus lots of questions. He asked him about his disciples and about what he was teaching. Jesus answered Annas by telling him that he wasn't teaching anything in secret. It was for all people. Many people could tell him what he had been teaching. Annas and the soldiers didn't like the way Jesus answered that question. One soldier smacked Jesus because he thought he was being rude to Annas. Jesus responded, "I've told the truth. Why did you hit me?" Annas didn't want to deal with Jesus anymore, so he sent him to Caiaphas. Caiaphas was the highest of the high priests. He already hated Jesus. In fact, he was the first person to have the idea to kill Jesus. Caiaphas was married to Annas' daughter, and he lived very close to Annas' house. Peter was still standing by the fire with the servants, but from the fire he could see both houses. While he was standing there, one of the servants said, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." Peter was scared. He started to panic and said, "I swear I don't know him." This was the second time Peter acted like he didn't even know Jesus. By this time, some of the guards were also standing by the fire. One of them was Malchus. Malchus had been in the garden when Jesus was arrested. Peter had tried to fight him and cut off his ear with a sword. Jesus healed Malchus' ear by touching it. Malchus knew for sure that Peter was the man who had cut off his ear. He said to Peter, "Didn't I see you with Jesus tonight in the garden?" For the third time, Peter acted like he didn't know Jesus. Then the rooster crowed. Jesus looked at Peter from where he was standing. Peter knew exactly what he had just done. Just as Jesus said he would do, Peter had denied Jesus 3 times. Peter then ran away weeping. He was sad and embarrassed at what he had done. Meanwhile, Caiaphas was questioning Jesus. The members of the Sanhedrin brought in other people to tell Caiaphas all the things Jesus had done wrong. People told lies about Jesus and twisted his words, trying to get him in trouble. Caiaphas knew the people were lying, and he needed proof before he could punish Jesus. Caiaphas turned to Jesus and said, "Are you the Son of God?" Jesus didn't answer by saying yes. Instead, he told Caiaphas that he would know the truth when he died and saw him sitting right beside God. This made Caiaphas so mad that he ripped his clothes. He accused Jesus of blasphemy, which means pretending to be God. That is a very bad thing, and the law said people who pretended to be God should be put to death. They didn't know Jesus wasn't pretending to be God. He really was the Son of God. Caiaphas and the priest wanted Jesus to die, but he didn't have enough power to make that decision. Jesus was then sent to stand before the Roman governor. Who was the first person the guards took Jesus to see? Annas. Which two disciples followed Jesus? Peter and John. Which disciple waited by the gate and which disciple went into the house? Peter waited, John went in. Where did Peter stand when he entered the gate? By the fire. Who was the first person to recognize Peter? The girl at the gate. Who was the third person to recognize Peter? Malchus. What happened after Peter denied Jesus the third time? The rooster crowed. What happened to Jesus when the guards didn't like his answer to Annas? The guards smacked him. Who did Annas send Jesus to speak to? Caiaphas. When Jesus told Caiaphas that he would one day see him sitting beside God, what did Caiaphas do? He ripped his clothes. Who did Caiaphas send Jesus to talk to? The governor. Printing practice with our letters of the day. C is for Caiaphas. P is for Peter. R is for rooster. Now it's time for our first activity, order in the court. A lot of things happened in our lesson. See if you can put them in the right order. In the top, we have Caiaphas ripped his clothes. Jesus was sent to Caiaphas. Jesus was sent to the governor. Annas questioned Jesus. And the guard smacked Jesus. Which one of those happened first? Annas questioned Jesus. Which thing happened second? The guard smacked Jesus. What was the next thing to happen? Jesus was sent to Caiaphas. When he was with Caiaphas, what was the next thing to happen? Caiaphas ripped his clothes. And the last thing? Jesus was sent to the governor. Okay, now let's look at the ones on the bottom. The girl recognized Peter. John went back for Peter. The rooster crowed. Malchus recognized Jesus. And Peter waited by the fire. Which of those things happened first? John went back for Peter. What happened next? The girl recognized Peter. What was the third thing to happen? Peter waited by the fire. And then Malchus recognized Jesus. And the last thing to happen, the rooster crowed. Good job. Cursive practice. C is for Caiaphas. it's time for our word search. We have some very important words to look for. 3, smack, weep, fire, rooster, John, and Peter. Let's see if we can find them. Our first word is 3. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Can you find 3? Here it is, right here in the middle. Now we'll mark that off of our list. The next word is smack. Why is that important in our story? Because the guard smacked Jesus. Let's see if we can find the word smack. It's over on the side, right here. Circle. And then we'll mark that off of our list. The next word is weep. Why would weep be important to our story? Because after Peter denied Jesus 3 times, he began to weep. Where is weep? Right here, going up and down. Circle. And then we will mark out weep. The next word is fire. When was fire in our story? Peter stood by the fire. It's right here, close to the bottom. Mark that word off of our list. The next word is rooster. What happened with the rooster? After Peter denied Jesus 3 times, the rooster crowed. Here it is, right here in the word fire. Let's mark off rooster. The next word is John. Why was John an important word? John and Peter ran to find Jesus and see what was going on with Jesus. There it is. We'll mark John off of our list. And our last word is Peter. Peter is the one who denied Jesus 3 times. Where is Peter? There it is, right there on the side. We'll circle that word and mark it off of our list. We found all of our words. Good job, guys. Next, we have something serious to think about. 3 strikes, you're out. In baseball, you get 3 attempts and then your turn is over. In life, sometimes people give you a few chances and then they decide to move on to someone else. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, then he ran off weeping. When Jesus told him he would deny him, Peter didn't believe he would ever do such a thing 1 time, much less 3 times. So when the rooster crowed and Peter realized he had done exactly what Jesus said he would do, Peter was broken. How could he have done this horrible thing 3 times? But the good news is he wasn't out. Jesus still loved Peter. Peter was sad. Jesus was sad, but the love between them never changed. We should always do our best to honor God in everything we do. But he doesn't have a 3 strikes you're out rule. He will always love us back. It's almost time to go, but before we do, we're going to pray about it. Dear God, thank you for this lesson. Thank you for the example of Peter. Peter wasn't perfect. He wanted to believe he was strong enough to stand up for Jesus even in the scariest of situations. But when things got scary, he reacted before he could even think about it. What Peter did wasn't right, but it proved he was human, just like us. Sometimes we do the wrong things, even when we plan and try to focus on doing the right thing. Thank you for loving Peter anyway. Thank you for loving us anyway. Please help us to try to live a life pleasing to you and tell people about you everywhere we go. But please help us to understand that you love us even when we mess up. Please help us to dust ourselves off after we've had a moment to weep and then get up ready to go out and keep loving you. Please help us to grow stronger every day. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, that's it for today. If you'd like to find more Jesus Stories with Jolly or even a printable version of this lesson, feel free to look for us on Teachers Pay Teachers, JesusStoriesWithJolly.com, or you can find Jesus Stories with Jolly books on Amazon. Until next time, Jolly loves you.